Now, let us go to question number 11. Part 2. A tipping platform is a ramp used to unload trucks. Based on the figure below, how high is the end of an 80-foot ramp when it is tipped by a 30 degree angle? Okay, so the degree here it should be on the superscript. Okay, now this is the figure. So there is an angle of elevation here and the ramp is 80 feet. Alright, okay. So the choices are A, 40 feet, B, 57 feet, C, 133 feet, or D, 139 feet. Alright, I'll give you 5 seconds to think about your answer. Alright, math learners, in order to answer this, we can apply the figure in this one. Okay, so this is the angle of elevation. So this is the 30 degree angle. Okay, so that is 30 degrees. Alright, and then we have the 80-foot ramp. So this is our hypotenuse now. Now, the question here is, how high is the end of an 80-foot ramp when it is? So this is the height. This is the unknown. Okay, so as you can see, my dear math learners, this is an example of a 30, 60, 90 triangle. Why? Because this is 90 degrees and this is 30 degrees and this is automatically 60 degrees in order to complete the 180 degree angle of a triangle. Now, you don't need to use the trigonometric ratio in this kind of problem. Why? Because this is a special right triangle. So this is hypotenuse. If your C is given, it says in the techniques for the special right triangle, which is the 30, 60, 90 triangle, the length of the hypotenuse is twice the measurement of the smallest or the shortest leg. The 30 degree angle here is opposite of the shortest leg. So therefore, this is the shortest leg. So in order to get that one, what you will do is you just divide it by 2. So the correct answer here is 40 feet. Now let's check whether we are correct. Alright, we are correct, my dear math learners. I hope you got that one. Now let's go to question number 12. Question number 12. The sides of a 45, 45, 90 triangle are in the ratio 1:1 is to square root of 2. While the sides of a 30, 60, 90 triangle are in the ratio 1 is to square root of 3 is to 2. From the set of side measures below, which of them will not form a special right triangle? Okay, is it A, 3, 3, and 3 square root of 2, B, 3, square root of 3, square root of 3, and 3 square root of 3, C, 3, 3 square root of 3, and 6, or letter D, square root of 3, 3, and 2 square root of 3. I'll give you 5 seconds to think about your answer. Alright, math learners, we are finding here the measure that cannot make a special right triangle. So, talking about special right triangle, it could be the 45, 45, 90 or the 30, 60, 90. So, if that is the case, let's check them one by one. So, we have here letter A, 3, 3. Okay, it is the same, 1, 1, 3, 3. And then, there is an invisible 1 here. So, it copied the 3, then put square root of 2. Okay, so, letter A is an example of a 45, 45, 90. So, this is not our answer. Okay, letter B. Square root of 3, square root of 3. Okay, it follows 1, 1. Now, the next is 3 square root of 3. Okay, so as you can see, this should become copy square root of 3 square root of 2, which is square root of 6. So this is wrong. Okay, so we already find our answer in this question, my dear math learners. That is letter B. Alright. Now, how about C and D? So for letter C, we have 3 square root of 3. So it doesn't follow here. Now, let's check here. So 1 and then 2. So 3 become doubled, so 6, that's correct. And then it copies the 1 here, then put square root of 3. Okay, so this is an example of 30, 60, 90 triangle. This is also a special right triangle. Okay, how about this one? Square root of 3, it is doubled, 2 square root of 3. Okay, so it follows the 30, 60, 90 triangle. And then when the square root of 3 is written with another square root of 3, that will become positive 3. So this is a 30, 60, 90 triangle. Okay, so we already finished explaining why A, C, and D are the measurements of the special right triangles. Alright, so now let's go to question number 13. The angle illustrates from the horizontal line of sight of the observer to the object above. Okay, is it A, right angle, B, vertical angle, C, angle of elevation, or D, angle of depression? I'll give you 5 seconds to think about your answer. Alright, my dear math learners, this illustrates the topic on angle of elevation and angle of depression because we are talking about an observer to a certain object. Of course, the right angle is not applicable because right angle focuses on the 90 degree. Okay, that's wrong. Vertical angle is also wrong. Now, as you can see here, this illustrates above. Okay, so when the observer is looking above, so that is known as angle of elevation. Otherwise, if you are looking below, that is angle of depression. But since our question is above, then the answer here is letter C. Alright, we are correct, my dear math learners. Now, let us go to question number 14. It is an angle that can be illustrated from the horizontal line of sight of the observer to the object below. Okay, so we already finished talking about above and below earlier. So, for the sake of answering this question, is it A, right angle, B, vertical angle, C, angle of elevation, or D, angle of depression? I'll give you 5 seconds to think about your answer. Alright, math learners, we already know that looking below is known as, very good, angle of depression. Alright, we are correct. Now, let us go to question number 15. What is used to solve x in the figure at the right? Okay, so we have here the figure. Our x here is the opposite of the 42 degrees and our 8 here is basically the hypotenuse. Okay, so is it A, sine, B, cosine, C, tangent, or D, cotangent? I'll give you 5 seconds to think about your answer. Alright, math learners. Now, for this question, this is very easy. So, we are finding opposite and hypotenuse. So, using opposite and hypotenuse with the theta, so that is opposite over hypotenuse. So, okay. So, what trigonometric ratio has a mnemonic of OH? Alright, so that is SO, in which the S there is sine. Alright, so letter A is our correct answer. Now, let us go to question number 16. With respect to the given angle, what is the ratio of the hypotenuse to the opposite side? Is it A, sine, B, cosine, C, cotangent, or D, cosecant? I'll give you 5 seconds to think about your answer. Alright, math learners, for this question, we are talking about HO. Alright, so in our mnemonics, if you can remember, so, ka, towa, cho, sha, kaw. So this is HO, meaning cho. Okay, so that is CHO. So which among the C here is the correct answer? So of course, the cho there is the opposite of sine. So sine is already wrong. If you can still remember our question number 1, the opposite of sine is the cho, which is cosecant. Alright, so the correct answer here is letter D. Alright, we are correct, my dear math learners. Now, let us go to question number 17. A kite held by 125 meters of string makes an angle of elevation with the ground of 45 degrees. About how high is the kite above the ground? Now, given here, sine 45 is equal to 0.7071. Is it A, 113.6 meters, B, 88.4 meters, C, 75.1 meters, or letter D, 62.8 meters? Okay, I'll give you 5 seconds to think about your answer. Okay, my dear math learners, for this question, we can understand this even more if we will make a representation. Okay, so let me just make here. Alright, so that is a right triangle. Okay, so now let us represent our given. A kite held by 125 meter string makes an angle of elevation of 45. So angle of elevation, that is looking above, right? Okay, so that is 45 degrees. Now, this is 125 meters because this talks about the string held by the kite. So, the kite there is like this. Alright. Just think about that this is a kite. Okay. So, sine 45. So, the question here about how high is the kite on the ground. So, kite on the ground. So, this is the one unknown. Okay, so it is already given that what we will use is the sine 45. So if you can remember our technique in sine 45 or the ratio of sine 45, that is opposite over hypotenuse. So that is x over hypotenuse, that is 125. Now in solving this one, you just cross multiply and you will have x is equal to 125 sine 45. So basically, my dear math learners, in order for you to answer that one, you need to use a scientific calculator. Now, I hope your teachers will let you use scientific calculator in trigonometry because it is really needed. So let me show you how to compute this in a calculator. So we have here 125 times, okay, sine times the sine 45. Okay, that is 45 then sine. Okay, and then you just equal it. So you have 88.38. So that is 88.4 if you round that to the nearest tenths. Okay, so you already have your answer for this question. So, my dear math learners, the correct answer here is letter B. Alright, let's check whether we are correct. Okay, my dear math learners, we are correct. And let me just emphasize this to you. You can also use the 0.7071 multiplied by 125. The answer is 88.4 if you are not allowed to use the calculator. Okay? So, I hope that is clear to you, my dear math learners. Now, let's go to question number 18. Analyze the figure below. Which of the following shows correct illustration of a right triangle when a kite is held 95 meters of string, makes an angle of elevation of 55 degrees. How high is the kite? Okay, so if you can still remember what I just used earlier, now you can easily make a representation of this situation. Okay, is it A, this one, B, this one, C, this one, or D, this one? I'll give you 5 seconds to think about your answer. Alright, math learners. Now, looking at this one in our given, we have 95 as our string. So, that makes our hypotenuse. So, where is the 95 here? Okay, so this one and this one. So, A and B is already wrong. Okay. Now, angle of elevation. So, angle of elevation should start below and then looking above. Okay, so if that is the case, then our correct answer is letter C. Alright, so I hope that is clear to you, my dear math learners. Now, let us go to question number 19. Which of the following statement is correct? Okay, so this is the given. X is equal to 6. B, sine 30 is equal to 1 over x. C, sine 30 is equal to 4 over x. Or D, sine 60 is equal to y over x. Okay, I'll give you 5 seconds to think about your answer. Okay, my dear math learners, as we can see, we don't need to solve for the problem. We just need to check whether which of the following sign ratios is correct. So, let's check first this one, letter B. Okay, sine 30. So, where is 30 here? So, if this is 90 degrees, this is 60. It means that this is 30 degrees. So, sine 30, opposite 4. Okay, so this is already wrong. It should be 4 over x. Alright, so wrong. How about this one? Sine 30, so it's still this one. It should be 4 over x. Alright, so in this one, the denominator is y. So that is still wrong. How about letter D? Sine 60. So here, our sine 60, the opposite is y. And the hypotenuse is x. So y over x. So letter D is already correct, my dear math learners. So there is no reason for you to solve for the value of x in order to check or verify whether the x is equal to 6. Okay, so that is already wrong. So that's the easiest way to solve trigonometric ratios, my dear math learners. Now, let us go to question number 20. It is an imaginary line that connects the eye of an observer to the object being observed. Is it A, angle of elevation, B, line of sight, C, angle of depression, or D, none of this? I'll give you 5 seconds to think about your answer. Alright, math learners, this question is very, very easy because it talks about the definition of a certain words, or in the context of angle of depression and angle of elevation. Now, if you are talking about above, that is the angle of elevation. If you are talking below, that is the angle of depression. So therefore, this is already wrong. Now, if you are talking about your eye looking to the thing that you are observing, that is what we call the line of sight. So the correct answer for this question is letter B. Alright, so I hope, my dear math learners, you understand that question. And congratulations, you are halfway of your review series for this 4th quarter examination. And if you have arrived in this part, please click that subscribe button and share this to your fellow friends, classmates, and schoolmates. Now let us go to the next half.